Hi, this is Steph with Belladonna Dyes, and today we're going to make a Wigwag variant, and we're going to use a hot water irrigation method. For this particular project, you want to start by turning your shirt inside out and then centering it using the sleeve inside the other sleeve technique. And in a previous tutorial, I said that I didn't really understand why I turned the shirt inside out and that I just do it because, well, I learned by watching everybody else do it, but I remember now. It has something to do with the seams, and they're a lot easier to line up and match up, and they lay a lot smoother on the table. So tuck one sleeve inside the other sleeve and then line up the seams in the underarm and then along the shoulder, and then bring the front of the shirt and the back of the shirt together, and that's going to create symmetry. Once you have your shirt centered and all smoothed out, you want to decide where you want the center of your pattern to be. And for this one, I'm folding it up from the bottom up to the top, and then I'm just making a little mark. And then I usually just go just a little bit above that because I don't like the center of my pattern to be right on top of the belly button. And then I'm going to use my yardstick just to create a nice straight edge. Using a washable marker, I'm going to draw on a diagonal line all the way from the center of the shirt up over the shoulder of the shirt. And then I'm going to pleat along this line, making it as straight as possible. Now these pleats are probably about an inch tall, and they're really too tall for this project. In a perfect world, you would want to make them about a ½ inch tall or even a ¼ inch tall. And then for this project, I'm just going to use kite string to secure it, but if you don't have kite string, you can use rubber bands. It really is just a matter of preference. So just continue to work on all of your pleats, and when you work your way back to the center where you started, just tie off your string with a simple double knot. So during this boring part of watching me make my pleats and tie it up, let's talk about hot water irrigation, which is abbreviated HWI. I first saw it done by Kurt Wallace, and his YouTube channel is Tie-Dyed Skies in Colombia. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And he makes the Phoenix. He only has a couple tutorials, but they're really informative. You know, back to the root of hot water irrigation. And Mio Faustino, I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, he's just recently done a set of Phoenix, and they turned out beautiful. And I'm pretty sure he's using Kurt Wallace's pattern. And then I found Justin Biffer in the Facebook groups, and I think he has his own Facebook group, and it's HWI, so Hot Water Irrigation, I think that's his Facebook group. And then there's also a 1-hour tie-dye dedicated to, you know, hot water irrigation and many other fast projects. Anyways, there's a ton of information on the internet about this method, and I'm settling on Justin Biffer's technique. I'm using a lot of what I've seen him do, but again, you can go out there and search the internet and find all kinds of stuff. I know that I have watched Fun Endeavors, Angie, she's done it. I've watched Raya do it on her channel. I think I've seen Mr. Tie-Dye even do it. Actually, I'm pretty sure I have seen Mr. Tie-Dye do it. Now, Casual Collisions, I'm not sure if he's done actual hot water irrigation, but he's always up to something and pouring hot water and doing things. So He's done a method of hot water irrigation if he hasn't done Justin's method. So anyways, again, lots of information to be had on the internet. Using a washable marker, mark out your pattern. And for this one, I'm going every 2 inches. And then in between these lines that I'm going to create, I'm going to draw on the zigzag. You guys, I really have a way of overcomplicating things. So you want to flip it over and you want to draw the pattern on the other side. And it's the same exact pattern on the back as it is on the front. And I always overthink it and I think, oh my gosh, now wait, does the pattern switch on the back? No, it doesn't. It's exactly the same on the back of the shirt and on the front of the shirt. It's just the same. It's really that simple. Now what I'm doing here is I'm thickening up my lines. I was originally going to ice dye this shirt and then I got sidetracked, and I have a chair that sits right next to my dye table that has this heaping mound of white things on it. Projects that I start and then never get back to. So this shirt is bone dry and it has been drying since July 29th. And today is August 31st. Happy birthday, my darling Sarah. For this project, you may want to do it outside, or Justin does it in his bathtub. Kurt has a special setup in his dye room. I don't do hot water irrigation often, so I'm using empty dye jars. Again, empty dye jars to raise my rack up off the bottom of the tote, and then I'm going to lay my dye towel on top of my rack and then add my dye. I'm adding my dye by using these little squeeze bottles, and I got them off Amazon, and I will put a link for them down below in the description box. I'm also going to upload a tutorial showing you how I mixed my dye for this process. Other people use spoons. I guess I would have used a spoon too if I didn't have these little containers. But do you guys remember playing with magic sand when you were little? You could pour it into water and create like shapes and castles and things. So I was thinking about that, and that's when I got this idea. I'm going to put my dye inside these little bottles and just squirt it on. And tulip dye comes in these little bottles. So if you guys use the tulip kits, you can just cut the nozzle a little bit wider, and bada boom, bada bang. You don't even have to buy these off Amazon. As I'm adding my dye, I'm leaving just a little tiny space in between the first color and the second color. I'm doing that because I watched Justin do it that way. And it makes sense because then that way you can go back and thicken up your line, add a heavier layer if you need to. So, that's why I did it. And it worked out pretty good. I just wanted to take a minute to say thank you to all of you that watch regularly and leave me comments and participate. I really appreciate it. It keeps me going and it keeps me motivated. And for those of you that might be new to the channel, please consider just clicking subscribe. It just takes 1 second to do, and it helps get the content out there for other tie-dyers. Even if you're not a tie-dyer, I feel like my channel has a lot of value, and if you also feel that there's value in it, just click subscribe and help the channel grow so more people have the opportunity to learn. So thank you again, everyone. I really do appreciate you. Deep orange is a lot stickier and denser out of all the other dyes, so it's bottlenecking up at the tip. So I'm finding if I just give little tiny little puff squeezes on the bottle, it comes out with no problem. Now I'm going to go and touch up and backfill all of those open spaces. I left this part in. So this particular sprayer I did not use for this project. However, some of you might have it at home for misting your houseplants. It does not like 180-degree water. It zapped the batteries. I couldn't even get it to spray. So once it cooled down and I changed the batteries, the sprayer worked fine, but it doesn't work for this type of a project. So I had to shift gears, and Ace Hardware is right next to Little Caesars Pizza, and I go there all the time. So about a year ago, I bought this pump sprayer because this is what Justin uses, and it does work really, really well, you guys. And I do recommend, though, that you don't unbox it right next to your project and knock your dye all over the place. You know, obviously you're going to be doing it differently. You know, you're not trying to record a tutorial. So anyways, yeah, that was dumb on my part. Most of you have probably used one of these before, and it goes together pretty easy. You just have to make sure that you get everything nice and tight because it needs to have a pressure buildup when you pump the handle. So I was having a hard time getting it to screw in because I wanted it to screw all the way down. It doesn't. There are still some threads showing, and that was deceiving me. I thought, oh, this is not going on quite right, but it did. And then you want to boil hot water, and it needs to be about 180 degrees, because by the time you get it from your kitchen to your project, it's going to cool down a little bit. And then when you're spraying it, it's going to cool as it comes out. So just be really careful when working with this. This is boiling, scalding hot water, you guys. So, use common sense and be careful. Pump the sprayer several times until it starts to give resistance, and then lock it down tight. Now it's time for the fun part. We get to play with the dye. So I've set it to a fine mist, and I'm just going back and forth slowly and steadily. Justin says that if you see puddles starting to form, you need to back off and let that settle in. You don't want to see a bunch of standing water. So I'm just taking my time going back and forth. And the angle of the camera and everything looks pretty deceiving. It looks like I'm right up on top of it. I'm at least over a foot and even a little bit higher. I think he's like 2 feet, 3 feet away. But his setup is different. He's doing it in his bathtub. I'm doing it in a bin on a table with a camera right over top of me. If I wasn't recording this, I would be doing it probably outside, to be honest with you. But it really wasn't that messy. So I'm going to speed this way up and just let you watch how it goes. So I let the shirt rest for a little bit before I came back and flipped it over. Like I took the pump sprayer into the kitchen and I filled the saucepan back up and, set it to simmer so it'd be nice and hot. And I think I made lunch or something. And then I came back and, you see that there's not much dye that came through onto the backside. And that really is just pointing out that those pleats are way too tall. You do want to see some dye on the backside. If they were smaller pleats, like 1/2 inch or smaller, it'd probably turn out a lot better. And then you just want to reapply your dye exactly the same way that you did on the front side, and then just repeat the entire process. As I'm editing this, I'm realizing like I'm becoming extremely sloppy with my dye placement. And it's these projects, you guys, these longer projects, I get so annoyed. I really do. And I'm probably not the only person. And this was the first time I did it too. So, things weren't running 100% perfectly. So you do want to try to be nice with your dye and add it and make it look nice. Or not. I mean, maybe yours will just turn out looking exactly like mine, and there's nothing wrong with that. Remember, I have this sped way up for the sake of time for this tutorial. It's already extremely long, and so you know, you shouldn't go this fast. I'm going back and forth very methodically and making sure that I'm not getting any puddles. After adding the 180-degree water to the robin's egg blue and the lemon yellow, the colors looked dark and sort of weird. So I thought, these are my glowing colors on the shirt, so I want to make sure that there's enough on there. So I just decided to sprinkle a little more on there and hit it with the water again. And this goes without saying, you guys, but you know, you never know. You want to make sure that you don't touch your dye bottle to the project because you don't want to dampen the tip of it. You don't want to get a bunch of water that's going to go up in there and get your soda ash and your dye that's going to start reacting within the bottle. You know, like I said, it goes without saying, but when you're talking to like a mass population of people, you would be surprised at how many people think that I'm like touching the bottle to the wet shirt. I'm not. I think it looks pretty good. All of the dye looks dissolved, so I covered it and I set it outside in the hot sunshine for about an hour. Now, I don't think this is a necessary step, but I figured why not let it batch and, you know, everything gets to know each other just a little bit before we come back and do the washout. It's been a little bit over an hour. I got busy. And I don't think that's going to hurt the project. But the whole point of hot water irrigation is to get it done quickly. And also the hot water irrigation, you know, is supposed to help the colors, you know, blend together nicely so you don't have a bunch of white. So, you know, leaving it for an hour or two, what's the point then? You might as well just batch it like regular. So you want to start by using cold water, and that's going to rinse away any soda ash that might still be reacting within the shirt. And then gradually increase your water up to hot and rinse until the water runs pretty much clear. From here, I take it to the washing machine and I do a plain hot water cycle. I do a second hot water cycle using Kirillon, that's a textile detergent from Dharma, and then I do a third hot water cycle using Millsoft to bring softness back into the fabric after the dyeing process. And all of that is listed down below in the description box. So go down there and check it out. And then I'm going to put it in the dryer and we'll come back and we'll see the results. Well, here it is, guys. Here's our Wigwag variant, hot water irrigation, and hey, I think it turned out pretty cool. So I'll be honest with you, I thought this was going to be a circular Wigwag, but like I said, I've got a stack of stuff sitting on a chair and I had no idea what I was getting myself into. I think it's pretty cool. I don't think I would have used these colors had I known that I was making this particular shirt, but whatever, I think it turned out pretty good. So if you notice, the pleats are too big. Had they been smaller, there would have been better saturation, and I just think overall the pattern would have looked more aesthetically pleasing. So that's something you really want to work on, small pleats. Overall though, it wasn't a very hard project to make. It wasn't as messy as I thought it was going to be. You know, if you are only able to do it indoors on a table, well, you just watched me do it. It's very possible. So, I'd say overall, I'm really happy with the way this shirt turned out. So what do you guys think? Please leave me some comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, leave a thumbs up on this tutorial, and click the bell and set it to all. That way you get notified of future uploads. And remember, have fun tie-dyeing.